Yeah,
Well,
it's the, I think, I mean, the newswire route.
In theory, you could put
Ryan,
that much
Ryan was, I never considered him.
You guys put, hey, Alex.
People were trying to liken it to,
I gotta tell you.
to Steve King too, but it's a different situation.
No, you know what? Here's the problem.
Gerald had the,
With the whole Steve King thing.
plans here,
And
Yeah,
because
those are nice.
he was like the press conference.
Steve King wasn't a friend.
He went to like,
That's the
Yeah, that's,
stop, he went.
the first series one that they made, there wasn't as much Velcro. Second series, there was lots of Velcro. And if you're gonna go into press conference, you gotta take it out, tuck it in, and just keep the pockets.
But there's.
You're not gonna be running since you're in the press conference, so it's okay to leave it all tucked in, then you can just reach in and
People,
jump.
and I was saying that back then.
But if you forget,
People are like, you're
it
crazy,
is
or
like,
whatever.
oh shit.
But the thing about it though is that now people are calling Monday morning quarterback and being like, yeah, he's wacky, crazy, and he say crazy shit, but he doesn't mean
Do it while
it.
he's speaking.
Duh,
Yeah.
duh. Wasn't I saying that back then?
Right.
And the thing is like, yeah, maybe he shouldn't have come out this week. Yeah, maybe he shouldn't have. Because guess what? Talk about opening up a Pandora's box. Yeah,
Well,
maybe he
it's
shouldn't have been
not-
doing up his damn committees.
I mean,
He
you
was
can
wacky, and he said wacky shit.
Like wearing a tuxedo.
And he'd wander up there, and I kept saying, he's like, oh yeah, but New Davis and the Golden Lions, they've got like he and like Emmanuel Cleaver are like best friends. You know? I'm like, yeah, and I had Emmanuel Cleaver on the record talking about they're a close friendship.
Just get it on.
The thing is though, he's like, nobody would like this. Because it's a perfect narrative of like, you bring him up a committee saying, people crazy wacky shit, and you're opening up something you don't want to open up.
Some, checks that everybody can.
Because here's the thing, is that you just said one,
That's
to say, he's not throwing her committees for something worse than what Steve King said.
I did say like,
What Steve King
They're
said
busy
is
yesterday.
much tame. Wait a second, Steve King was throwing his
It was a good day.
and what some of your members said
really good.
is much worse
Long
than
day.
what Steve King said.
The picture
So then what's the bar?
was pretty, but I got everyone I needed.
Yeah. You're in a bunch of tosses.
You just can't say shit.
Yeah.
Trying to catch up.
I saw your picture from yesterday, I thought I couldn't stay home. There was a woman that tried to stay home.
Have I, who, Pelosi? No, I got her like 4 times yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like that was a whole swamp of photos. Like, see this 11 a.m.?
yeah, so.
I know.
Well, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, I just walked into the
I'm
other
great.
studio, thank
See
you.
the 11 a.m.?
I was looking
Yeah,
for one
yeah.
for the whole time, and then
Yeah.
finally at the end,
Sure.
the phone that was on the wrong side. That was it. I was surprised it wasn't one of those.
I was surprised. I was surprised myself.
Good morning, how are you? Good.
And today, 4:30 to 5:30 is
Oh, sure. See you guys on the call.
the leg oppressor or something.
No, I just like stand outside.
And then go with us. Yeah.
A couple things. I did talk to the 11 o'clock.
Yeah, she didn't say anything yesterday from herself.
Really into, you know, like you said, maybe run next door, so maybe
Yes.
either to that, please. Okay. And, then the other thing here, it can be anything on her association, on her brain, you know, I don't know. And then number 2,
Followers don't have to be verified on Twitter.
I will pull,
Followers. So, there's
Either the order or whoever's first come first served.
Okay, so basically,
So no one's shooting.
well, yeah, you see, it was was
that's for you,
working
you
at
know.
Twitter
There's like
at the
50
time,
people
who was
outside trying
in
to,
the process
trying to
of,
get a,
like,
and I think I want to
and I
get
said,
to this
you have to get your social
Schumer
media
thing.
person, because obviously Bloomberg's obviously bigger.
I did not.
It's not something that
Yeah, let's get it down.
They
a
don't-
little
they
bit.
don't-
Let's
they
not
don't-
something that's
they don't-
like the other one.
No, no. Bloomberg
11 or
has
something?
to, since you're a Bloomberg employee, you have to talk to your social media people
That's fine,
and say,
that's
hey,
fine.
can you
Yeah, I think
contact
that's fine.
Twitter and tell them
Yep, I
that
think
I
that's fine.
that I
Okay.
work for you,
Thank you.
and they take care of it.
No, no,
He did this
that's
interview
exactly
call.
right.
At first he was
uh,
kind of
Because it's
small,
the
so when
outside,
he
not
was
the
late
inside.
here, FBM is logging in, I told him, I said, I'm really just interested in anything.
tweets like
You guys
26
are
times
doing,
an hour.
that's Commissioner Wade. We're a good exchange.
She really does.
Great exchange.
I mean, I don't think she has a job anymore. She just tweets all day long.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yes,
so
it
she
is.
dropped off.
It
It's like,
is.
it's like-
Yeah, I asked that
But
too.
she did
You can
another,
easily-
yeah,
Well,
well,
not
she
speak
doesn't
of
do
it.
it. Also, way-
Oh,
But it actually also does help if you're like brand
Seven
I know it
times.
blows
there,
up.
it actually makes the photo easier.
What did I say? I didn't.
I don't think so, that's what I told Pat, I told Pat to tell him, yeah, but if you
Honestly,
guys hear
I would-
something, because I'm not.
I was just hanging out off the house.
Got it. Oh, she'll talk.
That's,
She'll say something.
that's,
It was the emotion, I mean, that's what I looked
very good,
Um,
thank you.
I could not
Appreciate
believe
it.
it was so
Appreciate it.
Look,
and there were tons of
she gave a great response last week.
I don't know what a pithy little remark about.
Well, I'm gonna be at this Pelosi thing and I.
People are probably more interested actually in the budget.
Ask her, she got one.
I don't know.
No, and then CBSN is asking for something in one. I missed that. I miss having that. I mean, when do these things go to?
Just look at it, come in if there's
fun, actually, I can't hear just
no rules or anything.
Every single thing.
You know, I think Marjorie Taylor Greene, I wanna get a picture of her.
We don't, do we have some
I
new
did one
ones?
yesterday,
There's
but
not a
she's-
presser or somewhere I need to
Ken,
go.
Ken needs to see it, she's here. Did you see her today?
I'm sure she'll be here today because. Do they have lunch together every day? Between 1 and 3:30,
Oh,
and then the final vote, I think, is from 3:30, from 4:30 to 5.
oh, so late, I wouldn't have come so early. How do you find that out? I looked and I said, well, it's a 10 a.m. meet, you know, hearing, whatever, I should come early, and then.
Yeah, I mean, there's a deeper story than this. It's like, I don't know, like the whole Republican Party is facing back. Like, what is there? It's like, does David Duke run, and that's okay? Do they say, well,
That will be
we're
next.
Trump supporters, so we don't want to change
Right.
who or how, like, I don't know. It's like watching a black hole firework.
I know.
But they don't take any action. So I think it's an interesting, story that, you know, there's a bigger.
Right.
So I think you could just go and just hang out, like Ray Lucky, you know, how Ray Lucky used to. Now, he was a giant.
I know, yeah, I'm a fish out of water here, I never know where to go, what to do.
Wow.
I mean, I'm just trying to do little bits, I mean, I mostly wanted to photograph the.
And do we have any?
Yeah, the National Guard, I've been doing that.
That would be neat to be invented with that, I guess
I
that
thought
would be,
about it.
just doing that.
I thought about it, but now there's so few left, should have done that at the beginning.
Yeah, but maybe in the beginning, that idea would float with them because they're so amped up. But
Do we think that we should take the video before,
Because I'm not good at this
before that vote?
They keep falling on my face every time I do, you know, news stuff. I really want to do the long-term stories,
Yeah,
features.
I
I
know.
like doing that. I'm better at doing that.
if I could, yeah, well, if I
Dad.
could.
Could you send me your review info, please?
Yeah, it's just Jake at punchbowl.news.
Oh,
Yeah, send me your.
I have your money,
Yeah, send me your.
I will.
It's a no-brainer.
All my emails transferred over.
Well, that used to attach it to the rule of the commander.
Then what?
That's right.
Is there a reason? I know we've had.
Talk into the hot mic.
I didn't say anything bad, did I?
No, no, I was saying Evansville, Illinois is gonna be
Covered the end of it.
441-86, 8865.
But
emailing you.
the tail end of it, I wish I would.
Jake, your phone was the same?
441-8864, yep. I now just said my phone.
It was amazing.
It's okay, everything I said to you, I would have said.
Yeah, they were, everyone was so
Well, if people call me and I don't wanna talk to them, I just won't answer.
Spam or-
Not,
Well, I was.
Not news. I just sent you an email.
oh, okay, yeah.
So with any go down, the rural areas down there on the border, or even out of the country.
And I was here yesterday.
No, this other stuff. Were you taking pictures for? St. Patrick?
Yeah, yeah, I don't know, but I was here yesterday.
What are you doing this for?
I'm out here protesting on a public street, but you can't take pictures.
When I was, we went down,
I'll be Kaplan, see if he wants to reach out.
when I was,
Just say Canada passes.
16.
All right, thanks.
13.
All right, great, thank you.
14, to Brazil for the World. She wanted to be in her home country during the World Cup. And during that time, we were in Rio for 5 weeks. I was trying to ask her friends who are journalists there about issues like relating to mental health in Brazil. No, we don't really have many people. All these people in this country? And so I was on Instagram, and we were in Rio, staying at her cousin Douglas's house. And I saw this picture from Ipanema, the beach. It was like a night scene shot from my middle, looking down, circle of people. And it said like, patients from the psychiatric hospital, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, wow.
They use like samba at art theaters. There's an alternative to talk treatment. So he goes, David Allen Hart was still working, obviously. He had 2 people running around psychiatric hospital. So he calls them.
Your tested thing.
Huh?
Like all your stickers.
He calls them, and so we go down there to the hospital on a Saturday. Well, we have problems here all the time. But really good about that.
There's people outside, Jared, you wanna do a thing later today?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see how it goes. We'll talk, okay?
I mean, I'm not real, worried about like, what about my ADHD?
Hey, Jared.
We're not the enemy. Only in America.
Right?
Yeah, or the administration or the team.
I noticed you sometimes send shot of water, I don't know
There's
where
this
I'm going.
thing coming up next week too.
Oh, I know. What's the deal with that? I asked Jeff.
No idea.
I haven't heard anything yet.
Probably the same, I guess you have to pull those arrivals and.
Right, it's arrivals and departures.
And then Ohio clock,
Yeah.
ugh. The picture was last week of the very non-ceremoniously carrying of the.
Yeah, the article of impeachment.
She's
Yeah, she
gonna
just
hold
had
it
it in a
out.
folder like this, she didn't hold it like this.
She
or
had, even
anything.
had her like little, script right, like
Yeah.
above it, it was like,
It'd be a big fancy leather folder or something.
like put it in the folder. Open it
Right.
up anyway.
Yeah.
We should make Trump be here.
No. That's the last one.
That'd be hilarious. They'd just sit out in front of the mics and talk for an hour.
I mean, I'm sure you would wanna go and view the season anyway.
Who did he end up getting for his legal team?
Changed what, earlier this week, I can't even remember.
Wow, he didn't wanna pay the last guy either.
Yeah.
Despite the fact of having raised, what, $125 million? He'll blow through that like that.
I mean, like, next week is what, all out.
Oh.
My vacation is on that.
Yeah.
What is that?
My vacation is on that.
And you're gonna take him next week?
The week after that.
I think it'll be over. Tuesday through Saturday.
Hopefully.
Jim's taking tomorrow. I think I should take tomorrow too.
It's Friday.
Yeah, she acts like she is. Right.
Audience cemetery.
COVID, Karen. COVID, Karen. Yeah, I'll like take a drink and I'll go down a long pipe.
Yeah.
I'll take a breath and I'll go down a long pipe and I'll be like, everyone thinks you have COVID.
Why?
Yeah,
Obviously,
I've done that before.
I would have liked an extra foot, but that's one reason. Good to meet some guys.
Really?
Yeah.
I was at their office.
It sounds like it's been going
Green's
well.
office, she
Yeah,
was there yet.
schools are canceled. Well,
Two
just
was
like that.
23.
Good deal.
I follow Ken around.
You got you living down here and being able to rent stuff at all.
You're assuming that he does.
That's better than I do.
And I'm sure right when that ends,
But
there'll
they're
be
both
some,
gonna build up after him.
yeah,
The final year.
Probably what, 1:30?
yeah, exactly.
1 to 1:30?
Well, that's, there's
Still
like
waiting
two
for,
votes.
They gotta vote on the bull.
That's a.
I'd rather it be like this.
Oh, well, I just think I don't watch it for the summer, the vote for,
Yeah.
well, it said there's 15 1-minute, there's 1 hour per day. Come in at noon.
I went home for New Year's Eve. Couldn't make it back for Christmas. It was kind of funny, didn't want to see my parents. But that was nice.
Votes on the
You know,
rules
it's
for
too tough to
Patriots,
coordinate everything.
Two, 1, 1:30.
Especially, I
green
way to
belt,
catch
oh,
her
yeah.
is to,
But we can't really
Right.
shoot them
Um,
going into the house floor.
Or
Is it long legs then?
Yeah, Auburn 1023.
I don't know how to go about that, but
Well,
I'm happy to be
yeah,
here.
rough, just cause I don't know what hallway she takes.
Yeah, send
to
message.
get here.
Good
I
to see
bet
you.
she gets a car
Are
ride.
you voting on it? Yeah, she is.
Walk up in tunnel,
Not that
Not,
long.
not in,
walk up in tunnel.
well, she's back in.
Yeah, there's two tunnels.
Yes, but not,
She's
she was travel
Yeah.
last week, she was
I
out
don't
in
know.
Saudi and,
It's,
and.
Well, from her office,
And then she was leaving next.
straight to the basement.
oh, you're Deep River or the wall?
Although when she
Or,
ran, you can't talk
Cannon
about
Tunnel.
it.
Cannon tunnel.
Right, so it's not, exactly.
It's like right there.
And it's all like before she goes, she can't talk about it.
Well, it's kind of half one,
Right, yeah, she can talk about it only after.
6-1, half dozen the other, right? Because
pretty
she's
cool.
on the far end
And
of Long
did she say anything
right?
about
Like, so like the
station
southwest
over
corner
there?
of Long
She noticed? No, I mean, it sounds like on the
So,
basis of.
you, if you walk through the front of the building in the basement, past all the food, you can go
That's
left
exactly.
and go to the Rayburn
Right,
tunnel.
and she's not exactly
You can
central,
go right
out into the
Cannon tunnel.
country.
And neither of that.
Right, so she's talking.
That looks like visitor center.
Yeah, that was yesterday. That's what they told me.
Coming in that DC purposes. That's pretty
What
cool.
was she doing in the visitor center?
Apparently they did the conference.
Her and Cheney, right? What did they do then? Did they have some cheap bottles?
The auditorium.
Oh, like, 'cause it's bigger.
So,
I didn't hear it yesterday, too. Oh, I should chastise them. I should chastise my colleagues for not getting it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. What rules are, if you need to.
Well, yeah, Hoover covering White House yesterday.
Right.
He missed meetings covering custody.
oh, man.
I think it's like before and after.
Oh.
I'm like, where's the picture in between?
Oh, man.
Where's the picture in between?
Blink.
That's like kind of huge. Him being the youngest, having her sworn in and everything. There was something else. Yeah.
I'm the queen of missing things, so I don't hold it up with you.
I know, but you're just sitting right there. You're just gonna swear in. There's always gonna be hugging the spouse. Well, she's not at her office yet.
No.
Mike just got there and said there's no change.
Shit, yours.
There are a lot of people outside.
should have,
Watch us fly now.
I was, you know, doing all that cool stuff. I had everything on, like I was about to go, I was like, traffic.
It's like two Super Bowl stadiums filled.
The rest of the world is shaking their head.
took our picture with like all these
Yeah,
different
maybe someplace.
Yeah, it was so funny. We like just stood there.
You want to go?
Yeah. We figured something, we were just waiting for something to happen, you know?
Poor Charlie.
Is there anybody from the gallery here?
Nope.
You're on your own, Scotty. What will I do?
You guys know how we behave unsupervised.
Let me get some ropes up and tie you guys down so you don't jump on top of each other.
Thank you. She's in the green room, 2 minutes.
Thank you. There's a joke there somewhere.
Good morning, everyone. Busy time in the Capitol. This week we are doing the budget. Yesterday I was very proud of the vote that we had on the floor of the House. You've heard me say again and again that our budget is a statement of our national values. What is important to us as a nation should be prioritized in our budget. I commend the chair of the Budget Committee, Mr. Yarmouth, and the members of the committee for the great work that they did bringing it to the floor, and Mr. Don Beyer, the chair of the Joint Economic Committee, for his work in the debate yesterday as well. I'm very proud of the vote. Remember, what we do here is always to honor our oath of office, to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And that Constitution has as its preamble our guidance for a budget. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and for our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution. So it's about the Constitution and the liberties and the form of government that it contains, but it's also our value statement. So I'm very pleased that it passed a budget resolution. We passed a budget resolution that paves the way for the passage of landmark coronavirus legislation that will save lives and livelihoods. We hope that the Republicans will join us in support. We would prefer that, but we need to have the leverage to proceed whether they do or not. We need to act now because it's urgent and Americans cannot afford any further delay. Our committees now will continue to work on the bill context. So that will be all, well, as soon as the Senate finishes their work and then we pass on what they did, so hopefully that's the next 48 hours, then we can signal that we're ready to mark up the bills. We can file the bills. Our committee We'll work on the text, as I said, so that the Biden relief package will we're putting money in people's pockets, vaccinations in people's arms, children in school, workers and to work. And speaking of back to work, also this week, I'm very pleased with the legislation, the National Apprenticeship Act of 2021. As soon as we'll be debating that and voting on it tomorrow. But that is very important legislation for us to have training for the workforce development piece of anything we do is very important. As we prepare to go beyond this rescue package, which is what the bill I'm talking about now, and then to the recovery bill. The recovery bill will be about many other things, including infrastructure, and workforce development is very important there. In preparation for that, this apprenticeship legislation is very important. So I commend Bobby Scott, the chair of the Education and Labor Committee, for his ongoing work. We passed this last year, but it had bipartisan support. We hope it will again tomorrow. As you know, sadly, this week, the Congress recognized the service and sacrifice of Brian Sisnick, who died following the terrorist mob insurrection on January 6th. He passed on the 7th, the next day. We had that lying-in ceremony in the Capitol. And what was so important about it, of course, we paid our respects and sympathies to his family, who spoke so lovingly and beautifully about him, but also to see the connection among our Capitol Police and how they mourned the loss of their colleague. Indeed, Officer Sisnick is a martyr for democracy. That was martyrdom that he suffered, as well as the other who passed, Officer Good and Smith. And we will be honoring them appropriately at some point when it is sometime soon. But right now, when it came to danger in the Capitol, Officer Sisnick and the Capitol Police, whom we are enormously grateful, put themselves between us and the violence, saving lives and defending democracy. Indeed, Officer Sisnick was, again, a martyr for democracy. His service and that of other heroes in uniform, some of them of the Metropolitan Police of the District of Columbia, bring luster to our Constitution, as I said yesterday, and to our democracy. So very, very sad. To do the people's work, it is essential to keep the people safe and to keep this house safe. For our members, our staff, the custodial staff who make all of this possible, for those of you who cover it in the press, for our visitors, hopefully soon we'll have some again after COVID. And I want to salute the General Honore for his work in reviewing the security here. Well, I was honored that he accepted the charge to study how we keep members safe here as they do their jobs in Washington, in the Capitol, as they do their jobs in their districts, and their travel to and fro. Again, the security posture of the Capitol complex, and that includes the House office buildings, this will run until March 15th. One of the proposals that he made that we've already have some good news on is that it was clear that the Capitol Police have been severely affected by COVID. Separate and apart from everything else that's going on, like the rest of the country, they have been severely affected by COVID. And he recommended that we vaccinate the Capitol Police. And now, with the cooperation of the Biden administration, we were able to do that. And I thank the acting police chief for her statement that she put out this morning. Again, we have the threat from within, as you are all well aware. Some members refuse to comply with security protocols, to keep members, staff, police officers, everyone, including all of you, safe, which is why we are passing a rule mandating fines for non-compliance in that regard. You're aware of that, I'm sure. Also, in terms of acknowledging the threat, I remain profoundly concerned about House Republicans' leadership acceptance of extreme conspiracy theorists. Particularly disturbing is their eagerness to reward a QAnon adherent, a 9/11 truther, a harasser of child survivors of school shootings, and to give them valued committee positions, including who could imagine they would put such a person on the Education Committee. Today, the House will vote to remove Representative Green from her seat on Education and Labor and the Budget Committees. It's just so unfortunate. You would think that the Republican leadership in the Congress would have some sense of responsibility to this institution, as they did when they did not seat Representative King of Iowa 2 years ago. For some reason, they have chosen not to go down that path, even though Mr. Hoyer gave the leader, McCarthy, sufficient notice that this was a path we would follow. Again, I'm legislating on terms of the budget, in terms of the apprenticeship program, in terms of putting together our legislation for a commission similar to 9/11 Commission. I'm very pleased that others, and I commend Debbie Wasserman Schultz for taking the lead on honoring our oath of office to protect the Constitution, but not only that, to uphold a standard for the House of Representatives that respects the institution in which we serve and does no harm to it institutionally or to our members, staff, visitors personally. With that, I'd be pleased to take any questions. Let me see. Here you go.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have a question, and I also have a question from one of the pool reporters who's unable to be here today, so if I could, they do go together. First, just looking up ahead to the impeachment trial.
Was that an announcement that you're going to have 2 questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, is that all right with all the rest of you?
Just for another pool reporter.
On impeachment, go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. Looking ahead to the impeachment trial next week, it will be 1 month since the attack on the Capitol.
Yes.
The former president is long gone. There are plenty of people who say, why bother? Why go through this entire exercise? What do you say to them?
Well, I appreciate that question because it seems to me that the answer is self-evident. Again, we're here to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. The world witnessed the incitement that the president caused to incite a insurrection against our government, against our Capitol, against members of Congress, with the use of force and violence. For us to, why bother? Why bother? Ask our founders, why bother? Ask those who wrote the Constitution. Ask Abraham Lincoln. Ask anyone who cares about our democracy why we are bothering. You cannot go forward until you have justice. And what did we say about the preamble to the Constitution? Didn't we say it started out with justice? We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice. You've heard me say again and again, Pope Paul VI said, if you want peace, work for justice. Martin Luther King, peace is not just the absence of dissension, it is the presence of justice. So we will honor the Constitution by establishing justice. And again, we can do a couple of things at once. We are moving with our legislation to pass the Biden-Harris administration COVID package. The whole world were witnesses to this, as I said before. So we'll see. I have no idea how the managers will proceed. I saw their brief when you saw their brief. I'm so proud of the dignity with which they have brought to enabling us to honor our Constitution. If we were not to follow up with this, we might as well remove any penalty from the Constitution of impeachment. Just take it out. But our founders, they knew about two things, and we keep hearing this again and again. They were fearful of a demagogue, and they were fearful of a demagogue and a mob. And that's exactly what descended. The effect of that is exactly what defended on the Constitution. But I want the public to know that there is no opportunity cost in our defending the Constitution. In fact, it is an enhancement for us to do our work in a way that is respectful of the institutions in which we serve, the Constitution, which we take an oath to protect and defend. Your other question?
Ma'am, our colleague from the LA Times had asked that the House managers are walking into a trial where all signs point to acquittal.
They don't know that.
What does a victory?
They don't know that. They don't know that. They haven't heard the case. They don't have the case, but in the court of the Senate, they will make their case. In the court of public opinion, they will make their case. And for history and posterity, as our founder said, to ourselves and our posterity, they will make the case. But I have great confidence in them, and we'll see. We'll see if it's going to be a Senate of courage or cowardice.
She asked, what does a victory look like?
Well, you know what? Why don't we just wait and let them make their case? They have been very, so we say, silent, hardworking, brilliant in terms of what we saw in the brief. Not only wise, but you might appreciate, well written, and no spelling mistakes of the United States. So again, I'm not here to talk about that because they are going to be there to present the case. And we don't have to defend why it is necessary, and we don't have to talk about who's going to be there or not, because we just don't know. They know, and they will present it when they do. Yes, sir?
I was wondering what you thought of the Republican senators' plan. They went to the White House this week to meet with the president, and how much the plan is at 1.9. Joe Biden has indicated he wants to stay there. Is that where you think it'll end up?
Well, Joe Biden has presented a plan that meets the needs of the American people. This is very important because we have been, let me see, I'm going to read this to you because I think this is very important for people to know. We'll get around 450,000 people who have died. Before you know it, sad to say, and hopefully we don't achieve it, but we're on a path to 500,000 people dying from COVID. And that is because of a complete failure on the part of the Trump administration. But don't take it from me. This is what the GAO in a 346-page government accountability document said. It said almost 90%, 27 of 31 of the GAO's recommendations from June, September, and November remain unimplemented as of January 15th, less than a week before Trump left office. GOP remains deeply troubled that the agencies have not acted on recommendations to more fully address official gaps in the medical supply chain, and the list goes on. We want to save lives and save livelihoods. It's going to cost some money to do so, but it is a good investment. And don't take it from us, whether you're talking about the chairman of the Fed, the Secretary of the Treasury, Mark Zandi, other economists have said, even the governor of West Virginia has said, go big rather than go small. And that's what we have to do. It is a reasonable plan. It meets the needs. It is not excessive. It is coronavirus-centric. It is in a timely fashion. And that's where we have to go if we are going to, again, put vaccine in people's arms, children in school, money in people's pockets, and workers back in their jobs. So it's pretty exciting what he's put there. And what we did at the end of December, plus this, is approximately what we have been advocating in the HEROES Act all along, 3.2. This comes up to nearly $3 trillion. But that's what desperate needs. So for the Republican senators to come in at $600 billion, 1/3, well, what is it? Are we going to feed fewer children? Are we going to inoculate fewer people? Are we going to, how do you cut that? I think they have not respected our heroes by supporting state and local government. These are the people who are on the first line, whether it's healthcare workers, police and fire, first responders of any kind, sanitation, transportation, food workers, our teachers, our teachers, our teachers, our schools. We have to invest in safely returning our children to school. So again, I just don't see how you have to make those choices about who you cut out when you decide to cut the funding in the package. Yes, sir, in the back.
Speaker, given some of the events in Russia and Burma this week, curious if you believe that the House will move forward with any sort of response, sanctions, anything like that.
Well, we look to the leadership of our new president on that score. I myself have been a supporter of sanctions of Burma at the time, going way back. I still call it Burma, as a matter of fact. And then, and of course, to really enforce the sanctions on Russia in a way that really reaches the, shall we say, enablers of Putin. But again, we'll take our lead from the president because he's made his voice clear to Putin, and he said and made a statement about Myanmar. And so in Myanmar, they said they were arresting her for importing illegal radios, and in Russia, they arrested Navalny for not reporting to his probation officer or something like that. So again, it's an interesting time to see demagoguery around the world, and we have to prevent it from happening in our country. Yes, Chuck?
Good morning, Madam Speaker, thank you. On the budget reconciliation package
Yes, sir.
for coronavirus, obviously there are a lot of Democratic policy priorities that they'd like to put in this. There's a hearing going on right now about the minimum wage with Marty Walsh. If some of those things, like the minimum wage, don't wind up in the bill, is because, you know, you have to work through this process, you have to get the votes. What's the message to folks who are saying this was our chance to get these things done? What do you say to those who are pushing for
It doesn't mean it won't happen just because they won't happen there. As you know, in many ways we're at the mercy of the Senate in terms of the Byrd Rule. And again, the parliamentarian of the Senate is going to make some determinations. We had hoped she would make them by now, but until we have our bill, which we now have, we don't have those determinations from her. But there's so much in the package that has to be done right now, and we'll do the best we can.
Do you have concern, though, that some who said, okay, Democrats are going to have the House, they're going to have the Senate, they're going to have the White House, and you say, you know, just because it's not in this bill doesn't mean it doesn't get done, but they will be disappointed, and how do you respond to them and say, look, you know, we're thinking of it?
We already are introducing the minimum wage. That's a very high priority for us. But we can't, and we hope that we can get it in reconciliation. I'm a veteran of reconciliation bills over time, and I know the shall we say, the struggle that it frequently is to have everything comply in a way that meets the standards of the Senate in terms of the Byrd Rule. We in the House think of it sort of a House of Lords attitude. Why don't we just pass what we can pass without having it being determined by one person as to what can be contained in there? Just put it on there, vote it up or vote it down. But in any event, we're very proud of the legislation, and again, it's not the last bill we'll pass. This is the rescue package. This is the rescue package. We must pass this bill to crush the virus, to save the lives and livelihoods of the American people, to put children back in school and people back to work. That is its purpose. We want to do it in a way that is fair, that addresses the disparities that have existed. Do you know, in the Native American community, 2 times as many people, percentage-wise, have died than whites? The disparity in the African American community and in the Hispanic community is sinful. So as we do this bill, we want to do so in a way that is fair and equitable and continue to do testing, et cetera, distribution of the virus, but keeping a record of how this has been distributed. Then hopefully we can get to a place where this bill will be a force for fairness rather than ossifying some of the unfairness that has gone before. Then we have the next bill will be, this is rescue, that's recovery. And we're already working with some of the provisions that we would have in a Recovery Act. We're legislators, that's why we're here, that's what we do. And so we're always getting ready for the next legislation. Build Back Better for the people. These were some of what we talked about. Joe Biden said help is on the way, and the recovery package with lower health care costs and bigger paychecks for the people is what we need to do. So just because something might not be in one bill, and we don't accept that yet, but if it isn't, we have other places to do it. In fact, I wish we were talking about a living wage, but $15 an hour is an important improvement over that. I just have time for one more question.
Speaker Pelosi, I'm just curious, as far as the impeachment trial is concerned, Senator Graham said that if the Democrats call any witness, that they'll be prepared, the Republicans will be prepared to call in the FBI and, quote, tell us about people who pre-planned this attack and what happened with the security footprint at the Capitol. What's your response to that?
Your question is a waste of time. Yes, sir.
Are you worried at all about the precedent that it would set in
None,
removing
not
a
at all,
president?
not at all. If any of our members threaten the safety of other members, we'd be the first ones to take them off of the committee. That's it. Thank you.
Are you willing to compromise on the eligibility for stimulus payments?
Just have the magic touch on it.
Wait, I've been here for more than a year now. It's been 3. It's been November 13th. It's 100%. I haven't gotten a question in 3 months. No.